Hello and welcome to Infinity. I'm Charlie Seraphin. For the next half hour, we're going to continue our exploration of dreams. Our guest is Frazer Boa, a filmmaker and Jungian analyst from Toronto, Canada. Frazer Boa is the producer of a documentary series called The Way of the Dream. He's a graduate of the C.G. Jung Institute in Zurich, Switzerland. Does everybody dream?
Yes, we all dream 5 or 6 times every night. Whether or not we recall the dream is another issue.
Do we know why we dream?
Why we dream, we really don't know. We can say, though, that it's in nature. Animals dream, children dream, adults dream, human species dream. Exactly why we dream? No, I don't know the answer to that. But it's a necessary part of life.
Even for people who don't remember them?
Whether or not we recall them doesn't matter in terms of do we dream. We do dream.
But is it if it's a necessary part of life, you would think that it would bubble up at the conscious level?
Perhaps.
For everyone.
No, it's like eating.
Okay.
It's an event. It happens. All we can say, it's de facto.
Okay. Do we know what a dream is?
What a dream is? Well, we can say certain things about what a dream is. When we recall a dream, what we recall is an experience which we underwent. And that experience may be very similar to experiences that we have in life. It may be controlled by laws which wouldn't be within our three-dimensional reality. In a dream you might fly. There's virtually nothing that the ego can't experience within the dream world. But we can say the experiences, the emotional experiences in a dream are as real and as intense as they are in life. Sometimes even more so. It's not unusual for someone to make love in the dream, for example, or to be terrified in the dream, terrified to the point where they're paralyzed, they can't move. And when they recall that dream, they recall the experience as actually happening to them. So we can say that in a dream, it's as if there is an event occurs out of our control in which our egos experience an event as if some power is taken over the ego and makes it go through this experience.
So is a dream make-believe that's almost real, or is a dream real that seems make-believe?
No, there is no make-believe in a dream. When you're in the dream state, there's no make-believe. In a dream, if you're flying, you're flying. And if your engine's cut out, you're falling. It's not make-believe. The amazing thing is that it all happens while you're asleep in a room and it's absolutely silent. In the dream, for example, we hear, we see, all of our senses operate. I was amazed the first dream that came in where the whole dream was about smell. A person was in a greenhouse and they were distinguishing the smells of different flowers. Well, of course, in the room where they were sleeping, there was no smell at all and they were sound asleep. But the information retrieval system operates in the dream, although the sensory perceptions, of course, are not there. It's a great mystery. Dreams are great, great mysteries.
What kind of specific work are you doing right now in the area of dream research? What sorts of things have you been involved with? The dream labs that we sometimes see?
I'm not so much interested in the work that's going on in dream labs. What I am interested in is the content of the dream. Dreams have very definite motifs and patterns, which are clearly observable. And these motifs demonstrate that the dream personifies energies in the psyche. And it doesn't only tell where that energy is, but it also indicates where the energy wants to go. In other words, it's a well-known psychological fact that energy is not only a dynamic, but it also has an object. For example, when I go down to breakfast, I don't want just an egg. I want a boiled egg. I would prefer a boiled egg this morning. That the energy not only knows that I would like an egg, but also the specific type of egg that I would want. Now, if that energy is frustrated and I have Kellogg's cornflakes, I can eat the cornflakes all right, but I still have the frustration. I would have liked an egg for breakfast. In the dream, the dynamic is clearly shown, but also the object. So that if there's energy being frustrated, the dream will show the object that energy wants to go toward. so that their unrealized potential shows in a dream to an amazing degree. Jung had a patient in analysis, a woman who was around 40 years of age, who had never painted. And she had a dream, and in the dream she went to her daughter's crib, a 2-year-old girl, and above the crib there was a beautiful painting. And the woman said, recalling the dream, that it was the most beautiful painting she'd ever seen in her life. And the little 2-year-old daughter, who was sound asleep in the crib, had painted that painting. So Jung said to her, well, paint it. And she said, I can't, my daughter painted it. He said, that's ridiculous. That was in the dream. The daughter painted the painting. Obviously, it is in you. That talent is in you. She had a one-man show, a one-woman show, in painting 4 years later, and she had never painted. But that potential was in her and showed in the dream.
And she recognized the potential through the painting itself, through that object.
Yeah, through the interpretation of the dream, she came to. She had never it would be as if someone was a musician and had never had the opportunity to play or recognize that talent in themselves. As if there's a seed in us of potential, which the dream does reveal.
What about on the flip side, the terrible dream? Is it true that if you die in your dream, you won't wake up?
No, not at all. There's a book now, Dr. Von Frantz, who's the analyst in the films that I made. She's just completed a book now on dreams of the dying. And dreams do announce death. But no. The dying of the dream ego, when we die in a dream, it's an attitude that's dying and probably needs a good funeral. It's like the old maid's tale. If you fall in a dream, if you hit the ground, you're dead. And it's simply not true. Something's dead. We die all the time, of course. Attitudes die. We change. Things that we're interested in, we're no longer interested in. Energies die. And when energies die in us, in a dream, it often occurs as someone dying. Something's depotentiated. Our interests don't stay. We get turned on by things and pursue them with great enthusiasm. And it peters out. We use words like they burn out, or, then we're interested in something else. In a dream, that energy being personified, that personification will actually undergo a death.
Is there always a parallel between the conscious state and let's talk about one aspect of being growth? And we're growing, and we grow out of ideas. We used to believe this, but now we have advanced, and we now believe this, and we used to think this, but now we know something better because we've advanced and we've matured and we've grown. Does the dream state keep up with that, or are they not really parallel? Do you grow faster or slower in your dream state than you do in your waking state?
The relationship between the dream and consciousness is a compensatory relationship. And when you talk about growth, dreams seem more interested in the person staying in psychic balance, more like the pH factor in our bodies or any homeostatic system, that it seems that the dream wants to keep the psyche in balance. So the dream compensates not in a teeter-totter mechanistic fashion where if you're being good, then the dream will be bad, but more in terms of the totality of your own individual psyche. For example, if you are driving yourself in your work, goal orientation is the big thing. We're going to get this done and drive it right through, and hell should bar the way. The dream will compensate. The dream will demonstrate you using energies where you are in a situation where your feeling is involved, where you are perhaps your body is involved. It will compensate for your out of balance state. Right?
In other words, the dreams will be mellow if there's a lot of turmoil in your waking state. Would the dreams balance it in that sense, or are you talking about something different?
Let's say that
let's take that driven business executive.
The business executive who's driving will probably, he could dream. One dream he might have is of a woman who is ill, and he is very concerned about her illness, and or she's mutilated, and he recognizes her mutilation in the dream. He cries about her mutilation. That the feminine side of his personality is not being attended to, is being neglected. He might get an experience of finding a lost woman, and a woman who's a waif, and a discovery of her. If it's bad enough, he might discover a woman in a coffin behind glass. and try to break the glass to get to her, or feel impotent to get to her if he's really got the ladder against the wrong wall. Oftentimes, it might happen with a man. St. Augustine, for example, said, "Thank God I'm not responsible for my dreams." I know in analysis, with people analysis myself, a man who's taken vows of celibacy and so on, there's enormous compensation of that energy in the unconscious for the state, the attitude which consciousness has taken, which blocks the manifestation of those energies in life.
Can you tell us a little bit about the research that you did with the man-on-the-street interviews in preparation for your films?
Sure. We did, in the films, we wanted to really to accomplish two things. One thing we wanted to do was to document an incredible woman, Dr. Marie-Louise von France, just in terms of her personality, her knowledge, and she's a unique, one-of-a-kind person. We wanted to get that on film. The other thing we wanted to do was to make a documentary film which would make Jung's psychology accessible. As you know, Jung has been accused of being inaccessible, convoluted, extremely difficult, perhaps even to the point of being a mystic and so on. And to make that accessible to, as we called it, the Newcastle Minor. We wanted to put it in terms of a language which everyone could understand. Psychology is about all of us. So that the idea was to never use jargon. If you used jargon, then you simply didn't know what you were talking about. Even on simple words like the word complex. The word complex was, at one point she uses the word complex in the films, and I ask, well, what do you mean by the word complex? Right? And she says, well, it's interest. And so that we attempted to make the psychology accessible. Now, Jung's psychology is based on the concept that consciousness is a very small part of our psyche, that we really don't know why we do what we do. We can say, well, I was interested in it, but that's no answer consciously why I do it. The biggest decisions we make in our life, we really don't know why we make them. We get married, and I'm sure if I ask you, you would say, well, I really don't know why I chose that particular woman, and that the big decisions we make, why are you here today and why are you in the job you're in, you consciously, you did not put yourself here today. He calls it the relationship between the conscious and the unconscious is like a gnat to an elephant. That's the relationship of those powers. And the way to see the powers of the unconscious is in the dream. So that to demonstrate Jung's psychology on film, we had to have dreams. Lots of dreams. Otherwise, we would just be talking theory. So that we used these hundreds of interviews from people on the street, and to get those interviews, we just walked up to people. For example, here in San Francisco, we filmed. We went down to Fisherman's Wharf. We talked to guys who were just going out fishing. We talked to men early in the morning who were cleaning the streets. We talked to people at all levels of society, and we talked to people in many cultures. We traveled long distances to make the films, because we wanted to show that the dream is a universal thing, and that the patterns in dreams are a universal thing, and how these themes fit together and into a meaningful pattern for that individual, and also within the collective state of society today. So that we use the dreams to validate the theory. So that if a theoretical point is made, we can use 5 dreams from people around the world to demonstrate that that is true about the unconscious. Many people have attitudes towards dreams. They have an attitude toward a dream, for example, these are also expressed in the film, that dreams are really the result of eating the wrong kind of food.
Right.
Many people have a very strange attitudes towards it, but they don't know anything about dreams. I remember when I was school teaching, a kid said about Hamlet, he said, well, it's, I don't understand why that's such a great thing. And I said to him, well, have you ever read it? He said, well, no, not yet, I haven't. But he knew. And people have the same attitude toward dreams. They really, how many dreams have you ever heard in your lifetime? Probably very few, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And to be exposed, simply to be exposed to listening to 400 dreams, would change any attitude which you presently hold about dreams. I'm sure that if you saw the films, you would say, wow, that they're incredibly mysterious things. And the attitudes which the public hold about dreams are extremely biased and prejudiced because they really haven't got the information to make a...
What did you do with it then? You talked to all of these people, you did the interviews, you talked to them about their dreams, and...
No, we asked them 3 questions.
Okay.
First question we asked them was, do you dream?
Mm-hmm.
And most people say, yes, I do dream. Do you think that dreams are important? Yes, I think that dreams are very important. Do you recall a dream? No, I don't recall a dream. Can you recall a dream even from your childhood, out of your whole life? No, I actually can't. But you think they're important? Yes, I do. Why do you think they're important? I don't know. I read it, but I know they are. Now, that was the usual. I would say that's 80% of the interviews that we made. Out of all the interviews we did, we filmed 400, we probably did 1,000. There was only one person who said that he didn't dream. Dreams were not important. There were no such thing. There are no such thing, he said. That was the only one.
One in every crowd. Symbolism versus straightforwardness. You talked about dreams as a necessary part of the balance of the human psyche to offset what's going on in the conscious world. Is it just that? When you're in a dream, it's so real, then you step out of the dream and it's easy to look back and say, well, that was a symbol for this. But while you're there, you don't see symbolism, or do you? Do some people actually see the symbolism in dreams while they're dreaming them?
Well, that I'm no authority on that one. I wouldn't want to talk on that. But with relation to the symbol, see, when you say you fly in a dream, have you flown in a dream? Do you recall a dream?
Not that I can recall.
Have you fallen in a dream?
Fallen, yes.
Okay. Now let's take...
Usually not off a cliff kind of thing. A lot of times walking along, stepping off a curb, and it seems to be no bottom after the curb is there, and and those are the ones when you jerk yourself awake sometimes, right, for me, because it's...
Bottom falls out.
The bottom falls out.
All right. I want to go back to flying.
Okay.
Let's take a person flies in a dream. Now, it seems bizarre. When you wake up, and you wake up the person beside you at breakfast table, you say, I had the damnedest dream last night, I was flying, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre. Even though in the dream it made perfect sense to be flying. When you wake up, obviously in the laws of nature I can't fly. But yet, in our language, we do fly. We will say that person's very high. That person needs to be brought down to the earth. He'll get his comeuppance, one way or the other. With drugs, we talk about people being high. With love, we talk about being on cloud 7, and so on. Right? So that the idea of flight and being in the air is within our vernacular. The bringing it down to earth, okay, in flying, is the fall, right? To come down, bring it down to reality. Now, the symbol, within the dream, you're experiencing a symbol, and there's an actual experience of the flight. In real life, we would talk about the person, in other words, the person who is high, the person who is too far off the ground, the person who's out of touch. In the dream state, they will actually fly. Now, that's one example of flying. Another example of flying, there was a composer who told a dream once, and in his dream, he was asleep at the beginning of the dream. So the dream begins, I was asleep. I woke up, went over to my desk, and there was a little model airplane which I had made. I climbed into the little model airplane, started up the engine, flew out the window, flew all around the city. He could fly between the leaves of trees. He could pick those gaps and fly between them. Came back, brought it back through the window, on his desk, turned off the engine, got out, went back to his bed, the dream ended, and I fell asleep. Now, when he had that dream, he was composing an opera. He had made the model of his flight. You can see the creative imagination at work in that image of flying. So that it's not an escape from reality, quite the opposite. He's flying under the model, within the model which he made. He's perfectly in control, and he can come back and he can put it right down on the desk where he works. which is a very different dream than a dream we filmed here in San Francisco of a man out in the Golden Gate Park who told a dream in which he's flying in an Etzel. And I said to him, how well does the Etzel fly? And he said, well, it flew all right. The only problem was if I stopped thinking about flying, it would come down to earth. So I said to him, well, did it ever crash on you? Because he said he flew in this Etzel often. And he said, no, it never crashed. But, well, you know Etzels, he said. So the dreams deal with symbols. And the symbols are mythic in their origins. So to interpret a symbol, you really have to go to the mythic root of, for example, flight. What is flight? What is the fall? To take a dream of the fall, to really get into that image, to go back to the fall. It's leaving paradise in one way or another, come on down to the earth,
Are these things, is it possible that because of what I encounter in my conscious life, that I would have one set of symbols that would be different from yours? Or that if we shared a symbol in our dreams because you grew up in another culture, that it would have different significance in your dream than me? Or are there archetypal images and universal symbols in dreams?
Yes, very much so. Oh yeah, dreams have very definite patterns and very definite motifs and very definite archetypal patterns. For example, what we're talking about, the fall. It's amazing how they do work and what knowledge is in the unconscious in dreams. For example, when I was in Zurich, a woman dreamt that she spoke to an animal, a large cat, and the cat said to her, "Cut off my paws." When she told me the dream, she had no knowledge whatsoever of what, in God's name, that might mean. Now, the first step in the alchemical process is cut the paws off the lion. Right? There's your archetypal motif. To interpret that into her life would be a very different thing. Right? Exactly how that would apply to her at that moment. But the symbols are... There's a world of symbolism. And that world of symbolism is it is universal. It's around the world the same. It doesn't vary that much.
Where does it come from?
God knows.
How does it get into all these individuals' heads? The woman who's taking the first step in the alchemical process.
God knows. When you think about that, there are a few million people on the face of this world, and they all dream 6 times a night, and every dream is unique, and every dream is uniquely directed or related to that person. It's not my dream, it's your dream. Who's making up the dreams? God only knows. I don't know, but there certainly is, and you can't look at dreams for any length of time without saying there is an intelligence within the human psyche which is greater than consciousness.
The collective unconsciousness?
The collective unconscious, it works out of the collective unconscious. Yes, it interrelates us. It's in the films you could see it operating in the audience, that one dream, for example, dreams of falling, will told on the screen, interconnects you with other people. That there's a basis to the psyche, which is common. We're not that different, actually, although our individual relationship to that is different.
What about men and women? Do men dream the same dreams that women dream, or are their dreams radically different?
I would put it this way. Individuals dream their own dreams. Women's dreams aren't that much different than men's. Although it's more individual. The dream is moving in a process, apparently. A dream is very, very interested in the person becoming individual, becoming what they are, uniquely what they are. There was an old saying about dreams that they're the unique to the unique. And they're uniquely applicable to the situation of the moment. A dream is current coin. That a dream that you had a year ago is not applicable to today. There's 6 a night, and they will tell you about today, where your energies are today, and how to put that energy back into balance. Let's take, for example...
Does that suggest that you're kind of messed up if you've got a recurring dream that lasts over years?
If you've got a recurring dream, it's something that should be dealt with. because the energy is out of balance, and it's staying out of balance, and it's repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And, a recurring dream is something that it should be dealt with. It would be useful to deal with it, let's put it that way.
How does someone's life change if they start paying attention to their dreams?
Well, I could tell you for myself, until I was 40 years old, I never paid attention. If someone had asked me at 40, do you have any dreams, I would have been like the person in the film that said, I think they're important, but no, I can't recall any. And when I got interested in them, when I went into analysis myself, a whole new world opens up. It's amazing. We live in a culture which pays no attention to dreams, that's based on dreams. Our whole culture is based on dreams. Judaism, for example, is based, Jacob is called Israel in a dream. The whole future of the Jewish nation is given in his dream. His son Joseph becomes the dream interpreter for the Pharaoh, interprets the dream of the lean cows and the fat cows, which saves the Jewish nation, also saves Egypt from the fate of starvation. We move on, the final dream, the dream of Saint Joseph, that his little wife, who he thought was virgin and so pure and so on, is in fact pregnant in real life. In real life, he finds out she is pregnant. Under their law, she wouldn't have survived very long. He has the dream that in fact she's pregnant by the Holy Spirit, which is the foundation of Christianity. The whole society is founded on not just dreams might be true, but an absolute, oh hell, they come from God, okay? And yet, they're made heretic by the church. Revelation is over. That's the end of Revelation. No more revelation through dreams. And now, with Freud didn't discover the dream as the railroad to the unconscious, but he rediscovered it. He brought it back. And Jung extended that to a wide, major degree, and brings us to the point now where modern research into dreams is showing just how important dreams are, and how incredible people, if you want to know yourself, if, for example, someone is depressed, you look at them, you see exactly the same as I do. There is no distinction whatsoever. You'll tell me the same as I will tell you. That person's tired, they're lethargic, they're da-da-da-da-da, all the symptoms, right? What's the matter with them? Well, they're depressed. So what? What is the matter with it? Where is the energy in that individual being depressed? In the dream, uniquely toward that individual's dream will show where that energy is blocked. Otherwise, you can say, well, a person's depressed, give them an antidepressant.
In the final minute that we have, is there any short remedy that you might share with for that individual who's listening right now and really wants to plug back into dreams, but first step on the road to remembering your dreams?
First step on the road to remembering dreams is to get a tape recorder, and get one with a little switch, preferably on the microphone. Get it all set up so it records, so that all you have to do is flip it. Dreams disappear so fast into the fog. And before you go to sleep, tell yourself, I'm going to recall the dream, and all I have to do is flip that switch and start talking. And immediately talk the end of the dream, the part you just woke up with. Don't try and go back to the beginning. Talk the end of the dream. And as soon as you wake up, start talking out loud. Flip that switch and start talking. You'll recall dreams.
This is Infinity. Remember to keep your mind open and listen to your heart. I'm Charlie Seraphin. Thank you for listening.